On spring days, Mom sends us out to pick blackberries from the bushes at the end of the lane. It's a rewarding and absorbing task. I fill my colander with the ripe berries, eating some, knowing Mom is going to make jelly from them. She'll fill the jars with the hot liquid she's made, then cover it with melted paraffin as it sits and cools. Other days, Mom bakes bread, filling the house with a delicious aroma. We stand, butter knives in hand, eager for the 4 loaves to come out of the oven. The first loaf is ours, and as soon as it cools enough to slice, we're on it. This is one of the few idyllic pictures of my childhood. Sometimes I reflect on it and wonder how moments like that ever happen in the ongoing storm of the everyday in my home. Even some of my fondest childhood memories are tinged with battle at the edges. I'm sitting with Dad on the couch watching Navy Log and Victory at Sea, 2 documentary shows. Dad knows I like these, so he lets me stay up past bedtime to watch with him. When I'm 6, Dad takes me to his job sites. My brother Alan has been born, and my baby sister is soon to come. Dad's a union plumber and often works away from home all week, so it's an adventure for me to go with him. Nights we stay in a motel, and days I play in the muddy ditches of the construction site. I have a model helicopter and imagine I'm fighting in Korea with a pilot shot down over Toko-ri. It's a failed rescue mission and the enemy soldiers are closing in. After work, Dad talks with his coworker over highballs back in our room. I have one too. It's a ginger ale. "This is my son Raymond," Dad says. His coworker shakes my hand. "Hello, Raymond." I feel like a little man. There must be a parallel existence to explain how comfortable, loved, and safe I feel next to this man who tells me about the war and the Navy, who takes me on business trips. How can this be the same man that beats me? I'm the second born of 5, the oldest boy. We're each 3 years apart, in good Irish Catholic repopulate the world fashion. But if being the first son in an Irish family is supposed to be some kind of exalted position, that fact is lost on me as I am slapped and whipped by my father. In the 1950s, though, this doesn't qualify as child abuse. It's just the way you raise boys then. You raise them brutally for battle. Many years before I enlist for service in Vietnam, my brother Alan and I engage in constant combat at home. Up until he's born, life seems pretty good for me. My big sister Pat, 3 years older, is my immediate playmate and caregiver. Then, when I'm 3, Alan comes along to take Mom's attention from me. For a while, he and I are playmates. Young boys like to wrestle around, and we do our share of it once he's old enough. But the playfulness of it quickly ceases when either of us gets hurt or angry, and an all-out battle ensues. With a thunderous, "Jesus, Mary, and Joseph!" Dad comes storming into the room, pulling the belt from around his waist. "No, no, no!" Alan and I cry out, cowering as the belt flies right and left. I cover my backside with my hands, only to withdraw them with the stinging lash of the belt lands, first on my hands, then my unprotected butt. In no time, Alan and I are both crying as Dad leaves the room, muttering threats. Alan is still crying after my sniffling has ceased, so I hiss, "Sissy!" "Shut up!" Alan yells back, causing Dad to return to see if we want more. Alan is such an irritating, demanding little bastard, always into my shit, always ratting me out to Mom. I'm standing outside the back door over the garage roof one day where I'm working on my fort in the snow. Mom's yelling something at me, but I can't hear a word she's saying because Alan is standing behind her with a big smirk on his face, and I just want to choke him. And choke him I do one day when the rage is upon me in a fight. I'm sitting on him in a schoolboy pin, both hands on his neck, squeezing until I see the fear in his eye. Something makes me stop, though it is an effort to get my hands to relax. Things are dangerous between Alan and me. Like 2 wild animals, we can only be separated with brute strength. One day when I'm 7 or 8, I'm walking away with 2 friends to go play in the wilds beyond the blackberry patch, and tell Alan he can't come with us. Go home! And my friend Dougie shouts, "What's Alan doing?" I turn and see my brother dart behind a dump truck just as the wheels knock him to the ground and run him over. We run back, and Mom has come outside to cover Alan with a blanket and her body. Both of them are crying. The driver is standing beside himself, helplessly. A voice in my mind says, "Remember this, it's important." An ambulance comes and takes my brother and mother away. It'll be months before Alan returns from the hospital with a cast around his hips going down one leg. He's had a fractured skull, crushed ribs, a broken hip and leg. Grown-up voices somewhere say he'll be lucky if he lives or walks again, that if he'd been older it would have killed him. Now he's home in a Chase lounge, a blanket covering his lower body, making demands on Mom. Dad never hits Alan again, though he still backhands me occasionally. Dad's backhand can send me across the room. The violence between Alan and me only escalates once Alan is recovered and his adolescence descends upon us both. At that age, I know well the thrill in violence. At 14, I get my first glimpse of the kind of glory and reverence it can bring. I attend my first military funeral then from my mother's father. Like my father, Granddad had been a Navy veteran, but of the First World War. His ship had received a presidential citation for rescue operations at sea under enemy fire. That award decorates his den at home, one of my favorite rooms to hang out whenever I go there. Mom takes me to Robert Hall to buy a dress black overcoat to wear at the funeral on a drizzly Sunday in April. I don't experience any particular feeling of loss with my grandfather's passing, but the military ceremony affects me profoundly. There's a certain kind of majesty to it which adds gravity. Once the graveside mass is completed, a Marine honor guard steps forward. The Marines snap to attention in response to terse commands. Load, aim, fire! Repeated thrice, the 21 gun salute. The sounds of gunfire give way to the sound of taps played by the bugler, and I feel a catch in my throat, a poignant sense of bittersweet sadness that has stayed with me ever since. This is a story of a boy who by age 6 knows he's going to war someday as part of being a man. He builds plastic scale models of war machines, battleships, submarines, fighter planes, and reads the histories of the wars of his parents' generation. Everything becomes a preparation for that great moment when a boy goes to his war. The boy who had years of basic training before he ever left home.